you still have to pay your school fees if it's outstanding. But no principal can withhold your child's reports card for 2023. You are basically, you go and you fill in a concession form to say that arrangements will be made to be paid, whether it's in the course of the remaining of 2023, as lots of parents wait for bonuses to pay the remaining school fees, or to pay the year school fees, or arrangements can be made for 2024. How are you going to pay for this? Lots of principals in the government sector and governing bodies, they use the parents, if they have skills. For instance, if you're a parent and you are a carpenter and the school urgently requires new cupboards and new drawers or anything to dealing with carpentry, or even new doors to be put in the school, well, your skills are used as an artisan. You do not have to purchase the material, but you are used to install that, and your school fees will be deducted, according to a rate of what you get paid. So you still have to pay your school fees. You have to fill in the concession form. Your report will be given to you, but no report can be withheld in a government school. Yes, that it is. So to all the listeners who were calling me and messaging me, and as an educator from a government sector, we are not allowed, I wouldn't say not allowed, but it's not our mandate to talk about certain aspects. Just as in any institution, organization, or union, we always have the secretary, or we have the HR or the spokesperson. So with education, our spokesperson is Mr. Muzi Mshlambi. He is a spokesperson for the province for education, and nationally it's Elijah, who is the national spokesperson. So they are given the mandate by the MEC to talk concerning any current issues or affairs when it comes to things which are gazetted or things which are, in paper. Yeah, so they are allowed. But we as educators can comment, but those are our views and opinions. So I hope I got that a bit clear. Going back to our show this evening, when educators engage in reflective teaching, they are, dedicating time to evaluate their own teaching practice, examine their curricular choices, consider learners' feedback, and make revision to improve learners' belonging and learning. This process requires information gathering, data interpretation, and planning for the future. Well, going back to reflection, mental health. Mental health struggles amongst educators in South Africa can arise from a combination of personal, professional, and systematic factors. These factors include heavy workloads, limited resources, trauma and violence, a lack of support, stigma of discrimination, victimization, and other personal factors, which can lead to this. Well, the importance of a teacher's well-being are often dominated, by ideas related to negative mental health, such as stress or burnout. I know right now educators across the country are experiencing burnout, with the completion of the year, reports, admin, awards day, concerts, dinners, year-end farewells. This can lead to burnout, and not forgetting 2024 planning. Well, well-being is about more than coping with negative situations. It also includes ideas about what it means to live a good life. Well, one of, these desires of any parent or caregiver is to provide the best educational experience for their children or learners. While this is a worthwhile aim, it's important to take cognizance of the processes and, actors involved in ensuring quality education. It's not in isolation. That's everything. Well, one of these being the educator, the success of learners and the learning experience are largely driven by the educators that have frequent contact with these youngsters or learners. And the teacher's well-being is associated with the higher rate of teacher efficiency and ensuring that the learners produce good results. Well, our guest who we're linking up is no first time to School Matters. She's no first time to Radio Al Ansar. She is Sister Mehreen Mia, motivational speaker, a life coach, someone who has been recently well known in the educational front, especially in our province, who has been there to support our educators, motivate them, and also give them little tidbits how to cope in our ever-changing frontiers of education. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shukran for having me. Honored to be with you again, Sister Sumaya, and with Al Ansar as well.
Inshallah. Looking very forward for you being in studio. We're linking. You know, I remember your show, and I'm going to say this confidently. You used to do an excellent motivational woman show on Radio Al Ansar. Am I correct?
Yes, I did.
And
it was beautiful.
And what I liked about it, you focused on the woman regardless of their race, gender, stature, or anything. You just focused on uplifting the woman. And your show was listened by listeners far and wide and diverse, and you were basically life coaching on air, and you did it in such a way that no one even knew that, you know what, Mehreen is there to motivate us, uplift us, and you know what, you were a great asset to the Al Ansar Foundation. I make lots of dua that you come back, and I know our listeners right now probably overjoyed, those who remember you. So inshallah, I hope that you come back and you continue doing the good that you were doing in a macro scale, even though you feel it was a micro scale, but you were like really motivating in a really big way. So how have you been? How have you been?
Alhamdulillah, I've been well. I've taken that life coaching to many other levels, so now it's global, alhamdulillah. And lots of those podcasts from Al Ansar have also gone global, so alhamdulillah for Al Ansar as well. Inshallah, it will come back, and many women have been uplifted through them. Some of them have now opened businesses, etc. So it does work, alhamdulillah. You know, we need to reach at least one, and then we reach many like that. It's the catalyst effect.
Do you know?
So, we're all here for purpose.
Do you know, when I meet women or people who I know and I watched you grow, I get so excited and happy to celebrate your achievements, because you know what? Hey, I know that person, and you have received many awards and, acknowledgement throughout the world, I'll say. Can you mention a few of them?
Alhamdulillah. Gee, I have. Lots of them are nominated, lots of them are honorary doctorates as well. And I have to say, come with all of this is always, we say gratitude to Allah, of course, but come with all of it is always a stigma from society who tries to belittle what you do. But it doesn't matter, because you stay true to Allah first. And, you don't defend you to anybody else. But alhamdulillah, the most recent one was the 2023 Women's Most Influential Women Educator in the world. And another was for the education quality that I'm giving to women and children across the globe. So alhamdulillah, there are quite a few. I'm not going to go on and mention, I'm too humble for that, alhamdulillah. But yes, there are many, and the programs are running across the globe as well. So we're reaching our children, and we're reaching our women, and that is all that we need to do in order to benefit our ummah, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah, inshallah. If you are passionate in what you do, and you believe in what you do, and you feel that you are reaching out, then I don't think anyone can topple you over, because number one, you are not doing it for material gain, financial gain, monetary gain, or any status. You're just doing it because you are passionate. And I always believe if you are passionate and just giving, you always grow, and you don't even realize it. Everything else just falls in place, inshallah. Educators, I know you have been very active. I was quite excited when I saw you with a South African Democratic Teachers Union, where you were a motivational speaker in another region, inland, going towards Satu is quite big, into another union. I said, hey, I know you, and I was like so chuffed to know that you were one of the ladies speaking, especially with such a diverse front, and where politics and where women, where everything is changing in our country, and we all are trying to embrace the changes. At the same time, we get frustrated, but you were there like a pillar of strength. So you are familiar with the education sector and how things are going. now, coming to this part of the year, educators are so stressed. We are suffering from burnout, and especially when you're dealing with children, it's so different from any other career or profession, because you have to be happy. You have to be this positive person who, even if you're not it, you have to fake it because you are an educator. So you have to do that because you rub up towards your children. So why would we think we should be having a discussion on the mentality or well-being of an educator?
It's actually something that's very, very important, because if we look at just anyone out there, when we think of a teacher in a classroom, many just assume that's the teacher that walks into a classroom and they just have something to read off from a textbook and teach from a specific paragraph, and that's it. No one really understands the dynamics of what teachers have to go through before they get to the classroom. So the lesson plans, the markings that are happening, the SAMS issues, the deadlines, the administrative needs and rules, the psychosocial issues, the actual economic issues. There's lots of stuff that underlies what a teacher has to go to do. So nobody really knows that. And in today's, education system, in a public school, you're averaging at about between 30 and 40 children per class, who are seeing on average per day, say plus minus 6 to 8 teachers. That's 40 different children and 6 to 8 different adults coming from different backgrounds into one space. That teacher who's sitting or standing in that classroom and teaching those 40 different children is there because they want to try to make those children excel. They want to try to make those children do well and pass well, because no teacher wants to face the wrath of a parent or to see their child fall. They do their utmost best for those children. So inclusivity becomes important, diversity becomes important. They try really hard to inculcate everyone to respect each other no matter where we come from, etc., etc. But come the day being over in a school, that same teacher is going to their home to deal with their children, their elderly parent, or their spouse, or whatever their psychosocial issues are, or whatever their economical issues are. Everything compounds to one thing, and that is one individual who's dealing with so many factors throughout the year. There is no me time for a teacher, because automatically, no matter what they're doing, they think of what I need to do, what I haven't done. It's an automatic mindset. So talking about their well-being is crucial, because when you place your child and entrust your child into their care, it's not just about a textbook and a book and a classroom. It's about the well-being of everyone that's in that classroom. So it's important to understand where these teachers are coming from, and remember that these are human beings who have lives, who have emotions, stuff like that. So it's important for us to understand that and to respect it. Not to say we disrespect any other profession, but for us now, in light of this topic, to understand that when we reflect on these educators, we have to reflect on what does it entail for them to do what they do. And this is why the discussion on their well-being is so crucial.
Do you know, I love the way you have explained it, because, and as an educator, you basically have all the professions in one profession. You're a nurse, you're a doctor, you're an accountant, you're a mathematician, you're a home executive. When you think about it, right now, you listening right now to School Matters, think about it, about your educator throughout, from grade R going all the way to grade 12. What hasn't your educator done for you? It could have been a grade 2 or a grade 6 or a grade 10 or any part of the year in your life, especially things which happened to you for the first time. Your educator was involved in it. And amazingly, in all religions, even in Islam, we always are grateful. We make dua for our educators, and it's so nice when you go back and think about it. But again, they are human beings. We all are just humans. So we need a mentality, and well-being is so important. Am I right, Mehreen? Mental state is
Absolutely.
So important. I know right now educators are kind of exhaling because the year is over. It's going to be holidays now for schools. Children and educators alike. What do you think becomes of the mindset of both during this time, besides getting up late and not following and eating your lunch at 10 o'clock?
You know what? The mindset is a shift one. So from being the fixed mindset throughout the year, we go into the growth mindset, but that's only because we start to introspect a little bit.
Yeah.
So as these teachers right now are exhaling, it's also a time for introspection for them. Like, what went wrong in the year? What can I make right? And what can I do different next year? The same applies to those children who just received reports, for example, but it also applies to parents. Parents too have to also do the same kind of reflection of this year. What have we done as parents? What have we not done as parents? What do we want to change for next year? So right now through the holiday season, and you know this from being an educator, there's not, the holiday is a short-lived one. Because come closer to November, the end of December, we have some teachers who taught matriculants who will start to worry about the matriculant results. They want to be there for those matriculants that they taught, stuff like that. So that becomes the important hype at that point. Straight after that, we look at, okay, so we got a week to go, a week and a half to go. How far is my planning? There's constant thought about the teaching. There's constant thought about methodology of teaching. So the mindset is always, am I fixed in it? Am I growing in it? And it's all about how am I going to get it right next year if I didn't do it this year? So, we're going to, lots of teachers are going to be on holiday. Students are going to be on holiday, but the focus is going to be on next year. Already, I can tell you there's a discussion in many a staff room about planning for next year. When I get back to school
100%.
next year, okay, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
So this is the mindset now.
You have educators trying to shuffle, work out timetables, sort out stock, sort out new enrollments, planning different ways. Maybe this part of the school received a lot of sunlight, so maybe we should do something. Or it's like your home. Yes, there's a message which I just received. Educators also spring clean their house, and they still got to spring clean school. That's so true. If you're an educator, you definitely, said that this is the time where I'm painting my walls, or I'm setting my linen cupboard, or, doing some home maintenance, Yeah, well, I think lots of people do that in December. They wait for that. And,
Yes.
COVID has also had a great impact. Not forgetting our province who are affected by the riots, also by severe flooding. So we have a lot of after effects, when you think about it, with the psychosocial factors one is going through. So if you're a parent out there, go a little bit easy on that educator. People forget that an educator is also a human being. They're not the super a person who knows every single thing, What is your take on the role of parents in well-being of a teacher, if any at all?
No, of course, I think it's very important. One of the things I teach through a training program that I'm doing on one of the international universities now is the triangular method of teaching, right? So if you picture a triangle, at the tip of this triangle is the child. The base of the triangle is equal to two folds. So on one portion you have an educator, and the other you have the parent. Making this child then realize how important they are because they're at the top of everything. But the base and foundation for this child are both parent plus educator. And when we understand the role then that each one has to play, then we'll understand how each one actually has an impact on the mentality or well-being of the other. So, and I'll give you just a hypothetical example. If your child has not done well in the first 3 terms of a year, and come the 4th term, your child comes home with a report that's not very kosher, you're not happy with the results, you really, suddenly, because of your outrage at the result, what you're expecting, so what you got as a parent, etc., you want to speak to someone, you want to vent at someone. Most often that becomes the teacher, and it's understandably so, maybe from the parent side. But when the teacher comes to you, I want parents to just bear in mind something, and this is being said with the utmost respect. Your child is getting 4 reports a year. The first 3 reports that they are getting for the year are not reports on the progress of your teacher. They're reports on the progress of your child. So when you get the first report that is not something you're happy with, that is when you already need to start the intervention, where you need to start talking to the teacher and getting together to work together for this child. not coming through at the fourth term to start and say, well, the teacher needs to do something to help your child then. So I'm giving you this example purely because when a parent has to come now after receiving the final report to say the child is not doing well and start to attack on a teacher, can you imagine the well-being and mentality of that teacher then, who put in 200% for that child to try to make it, tried to tell you in 3 different reports the child may not do well, and you didn't adhere to what the report said. So parents do have a huge fraction of what the mentality is, what the well-being is of the child. And that can just be very easily curbed when both parent and teacher know we both collectively form the base for this child. And we need to work together for that.
Now
so
that,
there's a direct...
now that you mentioned that, today was my daughter's awards day at Al Falah College, the grade ones, and it was my first, big school awards day. So I took leave from school to be there with my husband. And, something what the principal said, and Muhammad Jafar and Mr. Muhammad, he's the primary school principal, and Dr. Rashida Khan, she's the head of department. It was so touching. I think I was for the first time sitting across as a parent, not in my educator's hat. He mentioned that parents and teachers working together, reach that goal of the child outcome. Parents cannot work in isolation, and neither can the educator. We need each other to form that bond to ensure that child is happy. That's the main important thing. And, Dr. Khan, Dr. Rashida Khan mentioned something that was so touching. Imagine she mentioned this on a large platform of parents of the year-end awards. She thanked her educators. She said, a good team is a dream, a dream team. So, it was so touching because she acknowledged that her educators work so hard. She acknowledged that they put that awards day, they ensured that everything went well, and she acknowledged them. And I think as, human beings, we all are humans, regardless of your rank, stature, the cap or your title. We need to be acknowledged for the good we do. We want that tap on our back, And when I just looked across the room, or it was the AstroTurf, I saw educators from Al Falah who had the smirk or the smile on their face, like, that thank you so much for saying that. So you did notice this little extra decor or this little fancy a card or the nasheed the children played. And that's good leadership. I always say if leaders lead where you acknowledge your team, your educators, you can conquer so much. But if you work in isolation with particular educators or you micromanage, nothing is acknowledged. And let me tell you, this, not all educators will push themselves to be front, because sometimes when you are given the cold shoulder, like example, if you are good in IT and your team leader might not acknowledge you or does not want to acknowledge you due to personal issues or factors or whoever you are, you might not bother doing it. You will not push yourself. But they fail to realize that by using that skill of that person who's so good in IT, you can take your school or your phase or your teaching to the next level. So I think leaders also need to think like leaders. Am I correct? What's your take on that, Mehreen?
I agree totally. And I have to say, one thing that we teach with leadership skills, and I know this because we teach it, leadership skills starts with you being a leader first for yourself. And leadership is by example. We know this from Sunnah, alhamdulillah. As Muslims, we know we follow the Sunnah of Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Why do we do that? Because he is the epitome of leadership. Why do we follow Sunnah? Because he was the leader, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was. And we need to first be leaders for ourselves. You lead by example.
Exactly.
Lead by example. So when you want to grow yourself, you want to grow your team. A good leader wants to make sure their team excels, not just they excel because of the team. That is the difference.
And coming, as I said, I sat there as a parent, not as an educator. And that was so nice because generally it's just the team leader will be acknowledged and not the the rest of the staff or the rest of the educators. I think I opened a can of worms here because the WhatsApp is just going so crazy with comments here. But again, you know what? Well done to Alphala, grade 1 awards day. And I think having your child in any school and where you feel that the educators are there, like parental locus, taking care of your children, it's like an ease for parents, What are ways teachers especially can use to de-stress and try to cope, at this time, besides, just stuffing our faces and going to coffee shops and complaining. That's what teachers do. We complain. And we talk loud. And we talk very fast.
I think you're allowed because you need to get the message across quickly and to them efficiently.
Mehreen, do you remember Uncle Umar's son, Zach, little Zach?
Yes.
He's saying, oh my gosh,
yes.
but now he's a big boy. He's the technician tonight. And he's laughing. He's like nodding. He's laughing. He's saying it's true.
Well done. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. So it's true. The screen's going wild. But then we tend to have that command when we're at home. Hey, you, stop that.
Yes.
Pick up the papers. Yes. Well, if you have an educator wife, an educator child, an educator spouse, I always say my parents had it bad because my sister is an educator, my brother's an educator, and I'm an educator.
Yes.
Yeah.
The whole home.
Oh, home. Mehreen, we'll take a short ad break and then we'll continue.
Sure.
Congratulations, Sumaya, on 17 amazing years doing the show. I know that it's very difficult for you balancing a full-time career as an educator and then still educating the public about what is really going on in the classroom. So lots of appreciation, lots of love to you. Well done. This is Daniel Alexander, long-time guest and friend. Thank you, Sumaya. Cheers.
With the evolution of education and the constant transitioning that schools go through, we'd like to send a shout out to you, Sumaya, and say your school matters on Al Ansar every Tuesday at 7 p.m. is a blessing, is an inspiration. And the fact that you host guests from diverse communities, cultures, races, and religions to keep an eclectic response so that somebody out there might not feel incapacitated. Thank you. Shukra, Sumaya. This is Dr. Sean Johns of the Family Center.
Wow. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to School Matters. Yes, School Matters turned 17 years, 2023. And those are voice messages from our regular guest in studio. Daniel Alexandra was one of the guys who did the very first advert, Zach, in a little Wendy house or like a container in the old studio up here next door. Yeah, and the other one is Pastor John Paul. Yeah, so it's so nice that School Matters is listened by everyone far and wide. It's I'm really humbled by all those positive compliments. Going back, to Mehreen and our topic this evening, just listening to those compliments, I feel a little bit motivated now to tackle class of 2024, Mehreen.
Alhamdulillah. I must just tell you before you continue with the program. Firstly, congratulations to you. 17 years is much of an achievement. I remember starting this, knowing you when it was about a year and a half old.
Yeah.
So alhamdulillah, you've really progressed. But I also want to tell you very quickly, in the break, I had 2 messages. So I am president of what we call Successful One Academy in South Africa and also vice president of another foundation in the UK. Both of them are currently listening to you. So you have your followers now in the UK and in France. So mashallah, well done to you. And School Matters, because school does matter.
And you know what? Guests like you who keep it real and, always there. I mean, always say this, as a presenter and a producer, we need our guest, we need our professionals, we need the parent out there, the listener out there, and not forgetting our technician. Again, we need all of you to work together, so jazakallah so much for that. Going back to our topic, what are ways teachers especially, can de-stress and try to cope at this time of the year?
There are very many. I think the biggest one for me is for us to always remember, no matter what field you're in, no matter what you're going through, the art of everything that we learn, especially as Muslim, and even if you're not, is the art of gratitude. So to be grateful, to start with your gratitude, being grateful for everything, even if it's an adversity or a difficult year that you've had, still be grateful for it. Because through every adversity is the window of opportunity for you to learn, to grow, to strengthen yourself. So say thank you, say shukr to Allah for where you're at, say shukr to Allah that you have this profession, that you have the know-how, that you have the education level to be able to change what you have to. Whatever was negative, you can reframe and reshape to positive for next year. So start with the shukr first. I always believe that.
Gratitude.
The other thing I think is every teacher needs to delve a little bit deeper into introspection. So be a little bit more aware of yourself. What is it that causes you stress throughout the year? What caused you stress this year? What was your stress tones and how would you like to change it? Only you would know that, because you have to be honest with yourself when you're doing it. And the other thing, don't dwell. Don't sit now and dwell on, I could have done this in June. I should have done this in March. You can't go back. So rather just, I introspected, I know where I'm at, caused me stress. What can I do to alleviate it so it doesn't repeat itself? So it's all about that. I'd like to, the thing with me is, lots of children in different schools give me little things, and I actually keep them, especially when it's handmade stuff or handwritten notes. It's so important for me because when a child writes it to me, it means something. When an educator sends me a letter of gratitude, it means something. So that the art of gratitude is not just where you give thanks for yourself, but when you give thanks to others as well. And when you receive those thanks from your children, acknowledge it and respect it and know that these children really do value you, which means you have a good purpose. So re-look at things always. So number one, assess your stress level. Number two, schedule that time in this holiday, not just to be with family all the time, but to also be with yourself and, redo your stresses and what was your problems. The other thing you have to do is be realistic. Be realistic about yourself and what you need for the next year to be better for you as a teacher. Focus on really what you can control. I always say this. People will say what they want to say. Other educators will do what they want to do. Everyone will make things difficult for you with whatever it may be, whether it's gossip stories, whether it's rumors, whether they try and bring you down. But this is outside of you. It's not within your control. You can't control other people. You can only control you, and that is your powerhouse. So take control and focus on what you can control. That's where your power sits. And that for me is very key, because that's where our teachers will learn that when I take control of me as me, then regardless of the adversities, I'm still happy with me. I'm in my lane. I'm sticking to my lane. I have my health. I have my family. I say shukr to Allah, and I will keep going. So it's a lot about your self-awareness, your self-regulation, and you being very in touch with yourself. That is very important, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah, you know what? Being humble and being grateful, showing gratitude, and also remembering your roots, from where you come from, and just reaching out to everyone. I think those are qualities in most and many educators that's so important, because you are dealing with a most important cargo or most important package, and that is the child, the learner. And amazingly, you are a role model. We fail to understand or realize this at times. Children are sponges. They tend to absorb everything what's around them. So, we need to be the best we can. I mean, none of us are perfect, but remember, we always are being watched. What we say, what we do, what we wear, in every way, So we are role models. What are your parting words for our listeners at this time, for the parents, for the learners, for the educators, or just a listener out there? This time it's not generally a happy time for everyone. Lots of people go in a state of depression due to finances, due to loss, due to not having a loved one there during the festive season, due to budgeting. And also domestic violence is quite high because everyone's at home, and lots of people, this is a reality. Lots of people do not like the holidays. They are used to their routine, of work and stuff. So in general, what advice do you have for everyone out there?
Alhamdulillah, right now, like I said, the first portion is the gratitude portion, but the other is education is not about just the classroom. Education is about life. So I always teach that education is life-based. And when you understand that and understand the value of it, you realize that even you as an educator need to keep educating you about life, about what skills can I get to enhance me. Because like you just said, in a classroom, those kids are leeches, right? But they're not just sponging off your attitude, they're sponging off your reactions to things. So even when your children in a classroom are being disruptive, etc., other children are watching how you react to the disruption and they copy the behavior pattern. So it's a lot that you put on your plate when you become an educator. But as an educator, you are actually, like you said, the role model. And as such, we need to keep wanting to learn. I know from, one of the things I loved about when I was in school, I loved every educator I had. There are so many examples I can give, which I won't do now. But these teachers I had taught me to love to be educated, which is why I will never stop, inshallah. Until my last breath, I will keep wanting to learn, because the more I learn, the more I'm able to give off. It's not about certificates and accolades and who says what about what I do. It's about me doing what I do because I learn and I educate me. The more I learn about me, the more I educate me, the more I can give off to more of our ummah. And every one of you as educators, whether you educate a teacher, parent, child, whoever you may be, you need to take time out to you for educating you to be the best version of you. Because every one of us is here. Allah wants us to be that way. He doesn't want us to stifle who we need to be. So educate you and be the best that you can be, because this is what is meant for you. A lot is about yourself. A lot is about you being emotionally intelligent about yourself. I did a webinar on that just this afternoon. Are you actually intelligent about your emotions? These are kinds of things you have to look at. But for you, as a parting message, I would say, I give gratitude and I say thank you, Allah, for every educator that we have. I give gratitude to Allah that we have all of our children that are in our classrooms. Without them, we wouldn't have the professions that we have. And we give thanks to even those parents who go the extra mile to make sure these children get there and do what they have to do, including guardians. Right now, I just say we make dua. We make dua, of course, for our Palestinian brothers and sisters and our family there. And we make dua for our children through this time, safety, protection, always with blessings from Allah, and our educators to stay firm in what they're doing, because we need our educators no matter where we go. Remember, you will never be any profession without your first teacher. I wouldn't be anywhere without my first teacher. So we always have to give thanks to our teachers, inshallah.
Sister Mehreen, as I told you, I'm on a serious note. I'm looking forward for you being in studio with us, and Jazakallah for always this positivity, motivating, uplifting. I always say, woman to woman, let's motivate each other, uplift each other, instead of oppressing each other and depressing each other. If women can change, the mothers, the leaders, the caregivers of this world, of this universe, you know what? Society can be such a better place. Jazakallah once again for taking the time to link up with us on School Matters.
I mean, school matters because school really does matter. So I love being here. I love always sharing a platform with you, alhamdulillah, and with Radio Al Ansar. May Allah grant Radio Al Ansar much more success. Well, today you've reached UK and France, Radio Al Ansar. Congratulations.
Jazakallah.
But alhamdulillah to you, and congratulations to you again on 17 years. Here's to many more of the 17 more to come, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. I ask everyone, by the way, to please make dua to grant shifa to everyone who is ill, and also to grant my marhum father, Farooq Mia, and all of the marhumin, inshallah.
Inshallah, Ameen. That was our guest, Sister Mehreen Mia, motivational coach, life coach. I, also like to thank our technician, Zach, for making the show possible. My email address is sumayakhan.alansar@outlook.com. I can't pour from an empty cup. Take care of yourself. Almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you. A good education can change anyone. A good teacher can change everything. If you have to put someone on a pedestal, put a teacher. They are society's heroes. Rest and self-care are so important. When you take time to replenish your spirit, it allows you to serve from the overflow. You cannot serve from an empty vessel. Assalamu alaikum. Yes, listeners, I'd like to wish everyone all the best, to all the educators. May the Almighty always protect you and keep you safe. Inshallah. Ameen.